Attributes of Arise. Arise is a standing wheelchair that is manually operated. It is not operated by electricity. Arm strength of the user will be required for moving to standing position and sitting position. Arise can be used to stand in a single location. The user cannot move from place A to place B while standing. The user can move from place A to place B only after sitting. Arise is a safe way of standing for therapeutic and functional purposes. Therapeutic purposes are related to health. Functional purposes are related to daily tasks like reaching for objects on high shelves, taking classes, haircutting, etc. The person using Arise will be slightly tilted to the back after coming to the terminal standing position. This is for better stability and preventing the risk of falls. Arise may not be suitable for everyone immediately. Reach out to the right medical professional for advice and prescription. The following information is provided for public awareness only, not as a guide for self-examination. Arise is suitable for the following persons: persons who are standing at least for the past 6 months, persons who are standing at least for 2 or 3 sessions per week. Each session of standing should have been doing for at least 30 minutes in the below mentioned ways. The only modes of standing that will be considered acceptable for using Arise are standing using a standing table, standing using calipers on parallel bars, standing using calipers and walker, standing using calipers and crutches. The following modes of standing will not be acceptable for using Arise: standing and holding a door or a window, standing with the support of 2 persons, Arise can be used by the following persons: Arise can be used by a person independently if he or she has adequate arm and hand strength on the left and right sides of the body. For persons who do not have adequate arm and hand strength, Arise can safely be operated by another person. Arise can be used by a person who has lost the ability to stand due to injury or illness, provided they satisfy certain conditions. If the duration of the injury or illness is longer than 12 months, then the user must be evaluated in detail to decide the eligibility. Arise will be suitable for persons with the following body characteristics. Persons within 55 years of age. If the person's age is above 55, then they should be evaluated in detail to decide the eligibility. Persons with body weight between 40 to 110 kgs. Persons with height between 147 to 177 centimeters. Persons with the following conditions may not be able to use Arise without a modification or treatment. Persons with weak thigh bones. Persons with weak leg bones. Persons with uneven length of thigh bones. Persons with uneven length of leg bones. Persons with an amputation on one or both sides. Persons having a dislocated joint or a stiff joint. Persons with significant lack of muscle control. Example, spasms. Basic guidelines to use Arise. The following are requirements to get used to Arise. Number 1. Practice. Arise should not be used for a prolonged duration on the first attempt. The user needs time and practice to get used to Arise. The time required for getting used to Arise will depend on the following. Standing must be done regularly and in the correct way. Regular practice of wheelchair skills. The amount of strength possessed by the user. Number 2. Safe habits. The user must position himself or herself in the right manner while reaching or leaning over. The user must not bend and reach to the front of the wheelchair while standing on Arise. The user must always take support from the handle while standing on Arise. If Arise cannot be used for standing by the user's own strength, another person must assist the standing operation from the front side. The person assisting the standing operation must never leave the user and go away. For a safe and effective use, we recommend you to follow the 5 steps mentioned below. Number 1. Assessment. The person who wants to purchase and use the Arise standing wheelchair must be evaluated by the right medical professional. The medical professionals who can provide the best advice on using Arise are a physiatrist, an occupational therapist, or a physiotherapist. The person who wants to use the Arise standing wheelchair must be assessed in all aspects necessary for safe and effective usage. Number 2. Bone strength. Check for bone strength. Number 3. Muscle control. Check for significant lack of muscle control. Example, spasms. Number 4. Therapy and re-evaluation. The persons who may not be eligible to use the Arise standing wheelchair immediately are recommended to undergo treatment to become eligible to use at a later point of time. The person needs to be re-evaluated to check the eligibility to use after the treatment is completed. Number 5. Fitting. It is very important to have the Arise standing wheelchair fitted to the user's body measurements. Using Arise without proper fitting or using one fitted for someone else might cause harm. The person using Arise must be trained to increase the time of usage gradually. The person can start standing for short duration initially and gradually increase the time of standing. Eligibility for using Arise. In order to know if you are eligible to use the Arise standing wheelchair, we recommend doing an assessment of the following 8 parameters. Number 1. Assessment of bone strength at the hips, thighs and legs. Number 2. Assessment for the ability of a person to move his or her arms and hands with complete control. Number 3. Assessment for the free movement of the lower back, hip, knee and ankle joints. Number 4. Assessment for the tightness of the hip, thigh and leg muscles. Number 5. Assessment for the difference in length of the thighs or the legs between the left and right sides. Number 6. Assessment of skin condition of the back, buttocks, thighs, legs and feet. Number 7. Assessment of blood pressure when moving from sitting to standing. Number 8. Assessment of the ability to listen, understand, remember and follow instructions. Safeguarding privacy. First, user will be explained about the touches involved in the process of evaluation and fitting. Consent for touching during evaluation and fitting is obtained from the user and family. The wheelchair is not meant to be bought off the shelf and used without the correct adjustment and medical guidance. To achieve the right fit, there are 11 adjustments. Number 1. Seat width. Number 2. Seat depth. Number 3. Foot rest height. Number 4. Knee block length. Number 5. Knee block height. Number 6. Inter-knee block distance. Number 7. Foot rest angle. Number 8. Back rest height. Number 9. Back rest angle. Number 10. Rear wheel position. Number 11. Weight assist. The following 8 measurements are needed for adjusting Arise to fit the person. Number 1. Hip width. The hip width of the person will determine the seat width of the wheelchair. Number 2. Thigh length. The length of the person's thighs will determine the seat depth of the wheelchair. Number 3. Leg length. The length of the person's legs will determine the foot rest height of the wheelchair. Number 4. Knee length. The distance between the back and the knees will determine the position of the knee support of the wheelchair. Number 5. Knee height. The distance between the knees and feet of the person will determine the height of the knee support of the wheelchair. Number 6. Inter-knee distance. The space between the knees of the person will determine the position of the knee support of the person. Number 7. Back height. The sitting balance of the person will determine the back rest height of the wheelchair. Number 8. Body weight. The body weight of the person will determine the amount of support provided by the wheelchair for standing and sitting. Proper fitting. It is very important that the Arise standing wheelchair is fitted properly to the person. Proper fitting will enable the person to use Arise safely and with less effort. The person who wants to use Arise must undergo adequate amount of training. Number 1. Strength training. Number 2. Balance training. Number 3. Wheelchair skills training. we recommend that the fit of Arise standing wheelchair must be checked A. After 10 minutes of standing, B. After 10 minutes of usage as a wheelchair. The person can take more time if needed to determine the fit and comfort. First fitting check. Second fitting check. Fit checklist. 7 visual points. Number 1, chest strap. Number 2, ankle position. Number 3, knee block comfort. Number 4, seat size. Number 5, back rest support. Number 6, skin health. Number 7, proper body alignment. After initial checkout, repeated adjustment and checkout for the fit may be needed. There are 7 safety features to protect the person while using Arise. Number 1, chest strap. Chest strap to protect the person from accidental falls. Number 2, knee support lock. Knee support lock to protect the person from accidentally operating the standing mechanism. Number 3, wheel position. Optimization of the center of gravity to protect the person from accidental falls. Number 4, brakes. Brakes to prevent accidental movement while standing. Number 5, ankle support. Ankle support to hold the feet of the person in place. Number 6, seat cushion. Optimal seat cushion to promote good skin health. Number 7, instruction manual. Instruction manual for the safe usage of Arise. When using Arise standing wheelchair, carefully follow the do's and don'ts. The following have to be ensured while using Arise standing wheelchair. Check clothing to make sure they won't get caught in the wheelchair. Keep hands and fingers clear of moving parts to avoid injury. Use pressure relief techniques every 15 minutes. Use the chest strap always.
Use the knee block always.
The following must be avoided while using Arise standing wheelchair. Do not activate standing mechanism without engaging the wheel lock mechanism. Do not activate standing mechanism without the user sitting on the wheelchair. Do not tip the wheelchair or attempt a wheelie without assistance. Do not exceed the weight limits of the wheelchair by carrying children or other items with the user.